Minister Mette Frederiksen has called on Europe to deliver a very strong answer to Russia's ongoing hybrid war. Speaking at an EU leaders meeting in Copenhagen, Frederiksen described Russia as the sole threat willing to challenge Europe's security.
I hope that everybody recognizes now that there is a hybrid war, and one day it's Poland, the other day it's Denmark, and next week it will probably somewhere else that we see sabotage, or we see drones flying, or we see, you can, there are many different kind of episodes. So I see this from a European perspective. There is only one country that are willing to threat us, and it is Russia, and therefore we need a very strong answer back.
The Danish Prime Minister's warning follows a series of mysterious drone flights and airspace violations across Europe, including the drone disruptions at several Danish airports. While authorities have not directly linked these incidents to Russia, Frederiksen has emphasized that they reveal serious vulnerabilities in Europe's defenses. She urged European nations to rearm, innovate and strengthen collective defense capabilities. Frederiksen also stressed the need for closer coordination with NATO allies and proposed measures such as a drone wall to protect EU's eastern borders from further hybrid attacks. Other European leaders echoed her concerns, marking a growing recognition of Russia as a persistent threat, even short of a formal war. According to media reports, the European Commission will propose cutting steel import quotas by nearly half and hiking duties on volumes above those levels to 50%, in line with tariffs imposed by US and Canada. These measures are part of a new package for the steel sector that is expected to be unveiled next week. The bloc's current steel safeguards will expire in June 2026. The European Union had already tightened current steel import quotas by 15% in April. The Commission is now investigating market trends for potential aluminium safeguards as well as export duties on scrap metal. Steel jumped into the spotlight early this year after US President Donald Trump hiked tariffs on foreign steel and aluminium imports to 50%. Andrew's back on the telecast with me. Andrew, this tariff war has impacted European Union's economy to quite an extent. So much so that there is deliberation and reconsideration of the safeguards that the EU is now considering, keeping in mind its steel consumption and aluminium imports as well.
Yes, well, it's keeping up with the Joneses, as it were. If the U.S. has these tariffs in place, it makes Chinese exports have to go somewhere, and they're likely to go to Europe. And it should be mentioned that these Chinese steel and aluminium exports are highly subsidized by the state, and it's not really a competitive market. So what the Europeans are proposing, and what the U.S. has done, is to level the playing field, as it were, to take the advantage from the state-subsidized production off the table and put European manufacturers on a level playing field with Chinese manufacturers. Now, it remains to be seen if that's going to work, and it's also worth pointing out that some European manufacturers are also state-subsidized. I don't think it's radical decoupling of the Chinese and European economies. It's not of a piece with that. I do like the metaphor leveling the playing field and removing the quote-unquote unfair advantage that Chinese exporters have in the European market.
Do you also think that European Union will be able to sustain itself by the domestic market of steel and aluminium production? It has been reliant on international markets, other countries so far, and if they are going to reduce their import quota and put additional tariffs and duties, will this adversely impact their production and their GDP?
Well, yes, I think what we're seeing, and we're seeing it in droves with the Trump administration, but we're seeing it around the world, I think, is that the era of free trade, post-Cold War, but also during the Cold War within the Western world, the World Trade Organization and its entire ethos of promoting free and fair trade, I think that institutional architecture, that set of legal norms and rules and institutions, is all beginning to fall apart. And we're beginning to see the fragmentation of the global economy into either national economies, if the nations are big enough, the US and China, or India, or regional economies, in the case of the European Union. And I think that is inevitable. It's a long-term trend. I don't know if any particular government or international organization can arrest that development. Is it a welcome development? I think in the long run, probably not. Peace and prosperity tend to go hand in hand, and to the extent that these blocs actually, in the long run, undermine global prosperity, they're likely to undermine global peace as well.
Andrew Latham, thank you very much for joining us on NewsX World and sharing your perspective. Shifting our focus to other big developments. According to a senior rescue official, the death toll has increased in the Philippines earthquake to at least 69 after the country was struck by a 6.9 magnitude earthquake, leading to significant damage to infrastructure and human lives. Rescue operations are underway as authorities warn the death toll may rise amidst widespread damage to infrastructure and power lines. Rows of bodies covered with sheets were seen in Cebu, while residents mourned family members and neighbors. Officials are assessing the full extent of the damage as recovery operations are underway. Meanwhile, locals have shared their experiences describing the impact it had on their lives.
Gumuguho talaga, sir.
Paano?
Parang ginanon sa amin eh. Tapos, yung kabilang side ng building namin, bumagsak talaga. Mabuti yung mga tao nandito sa harapan lahat. Nakabahan po kami ngayon kasi palagi po may aftershock. Hanggang ngayon, hindi po namin mabibilang yung aftershock kung ilan ng aftershock ngayon. Kasi marami na kasi, sir eh. Kagabi pa eh. Hindi pa ako nakapahinga.
Nung nalala ko, yung anak ko, naiwan sa balay. Tapos may kapitbahay kami nga malaki. Tapos ang dadaanan nila, maliit lang. Tapos bumagsak yung mga semento. Salamat ako sa Ginoo kasi walang nangyari sa kanila. Pagdating ko namin doon, marami ng tao sa kasama namin. Hindi namin alam mo katapusan ba namin ngayon. Salamat namin sa Ginoo nga naluwas sa taon.